All right, let's jump right into this explainer. If you own property anywhere near Lake Erie, you already know the weather can be, well, an absolute menace. But today, we're taking a look at data from the experts at Alpha Roofing Cleveland to see the brutal reality of what that weather is actually doing to your home. And honestly, the way the elements interact with your roof is this fascinating and highly destructive science. So, we've got to ask this crucial question right out of the gate. It is wild to think you can just look up at your house and assume everything's totally fine, mostly because you don't actively see water pouring into your living room. But the reality? Living in the Lake Erie snowbelt means your home is taking an absolute beating. We're talking extreme conditions that cause silent progressive failures way before those major leaks ever show up. And the biggest invisible villain here? The freeze-thaw cycle. This is a mechanical force that literally tears your shingles apart every single winter. Think about the crazy power of just a tiny drop of water. Snow melts, and that moisture sneaks into microscopic cracks in your roof. Then, the sun goes down, temperatures plummet, and that water freezes and expands. It acts like a tiny, relentless crowbar. When it thaws out, the crack is just a little bit bigger, which means even more water gets in next time. It just compounds day after day until that microscopic crack turns into a massive damaging gap. But it's not just the temperature drops. The actual geography of places like Garfield Heights, it's the ultimate stress test. I mean, you've got clay-heavy soils shifting your foundation around when moisture levels change. You've got airborne debris flying around busy corridors like Ranger Road. Your home is under constant geographical stress. You have to remember, your roof isn't just some static hat sitting on top of your house. It is actively flexing, shifting, and fighting a literal battle against the environment 365 days a year. And what's really wild is how hyper-local this damage actually gets. Different neighborhoods deal with totally unique elemental attacks. In the winter, bad attic insulation lets heat escape, melts the snow, and boom, massive ice dams form at the cold eaves, literally forcing water backward up under your shingles. In the spring, high winds just peel those weakened materials right off. Then you've got airborne debris scrubbing away the protective granules year-round. Oh, and if you live in those heavily shaded spots around Marywood and McCracken Road, that shade traps the summer humidity, stopping things from drying out. It actively breeds algae and moss that rots the roof right over your head. So here's the wild part. It's crazy how what starts as just a tiny bit of minor granule loss washing into your gutters, something literally everyone ignores, rapidly cascades into a huge, expensive structural failure. Once those little protective granules wash away, the fiberglass mat underneath is just naked. It's totally exposed to the harsh UV rays from the sun, and it starts soaking up moisture like a sponge. The shingles turn brittle, they crack, the wind rips them off, and suddenly the actual wooden decking holding up your roof is completely rotted out. Just like that. So how do we actually fix this? When we look at the insights from Alpha Roofing Cleveland, they make a great point. You can't just slap a layer of new shingles onto these century-old houses around Turney Road and Broadway Avenue. A lot of these established neighborhoods have roofs that were built way before modern ventilation and underlayment standards even existed. You have to really understand how an older house breathes. It takes decades of deep, local expertise to figure out exactly why a roof in Garfield Heights is failing, like spotting poor ventilation, instead of just putting a Band-Aid over the symptoms. This next part absolutely blew my mind. When you contrast the bare minimum state building codes with what's actually required to survive our local climate, the difference is night and day. For instance, the Ohio Residential Code says a basic Class F wind resistance is fine. But the experts at Alpha, they require a much tougher, Class H impact-resistant material. The code says hand nailing is acceptable, which we know can be super inconsistent. Compare that to using pneumatic nailers with 4 to 6 fasteners per shingle for perfect depth so the wind can't lift them. And for ice barriers, the state asks for the basics, but surviving a Cleveland winter demands comprehensive, heavy-duty protection to fight off those brutal freeze-thaw cycles we just talked about. And when a severe Lake Erie storm inevitably hits, speed is literally everything. The industry standard might have you sitting around waiting up to 6 weeks for materials to ship during a big storm surge. But local companies like Alpha actually maintain their own massive warehouse inventory right here in Greater Cleveland. Because let's be real, when your roof is actively leaking and water is a few hours away from destroying your living room drywall, you absolutely do not have 6 weeks to wait on global supply chain issues. Having those materials ready locally translates into a super streamlined, headache-free, 3-step installation process. Step 1 is a really comprehensive inspection. We're talking checking ventilation, insulation depth, decking condition, plus getting a detailed scope of work with time-stamped photos. Step 2 is the actual professional installation by manufacturer-certified crews. No cutting corners on underlayment or starter strips here. And step 3, a rigorous final inspection, backing it up with an extended workmanship warranty and doing an absolute cleanup with magnetic nail sweepers. Because honestly, nobody wants a flat tire in their own driveway after getting a new roof. All right, let's talk numbers. 2,000 square feet. That is the rough size of your typical single-family roof in this area, so we'll use that as our benchmark. When you're looking at a huge project of this size, the absolute primary concern for any homeowner is the price tag. And that cost fluctuates a lot depending on the pitch of your roof, the quality of materials you choose, and crucially, if there's hidden damage lurking underneath those top layers. Now, if we break down the costs on that 2,000 square foot project, you might naturally assume the physical shingles are the most expensive thing on the bill. But surprisingly, skilled labor takes the #1 spot, and for a really good reason. Getting this right requires highly trained crews safely managing complex tear-offs, doing precision flashing around your chimney, and hitting the exact right nailing patterns to stop catastrophic leaks down the road. Premium materials come in second, and a big chunk of that is those crucial ice and water shields. The rest goes toward potential decking replacements for hidden rot, plus your standard disposal and permitting fees. But here's some really good news. Despite how massive the scope of work is, a complete replacement usually only takes 1 to 3 days. Seriously. Simple gable roofs with just one layer of old shingles to remove go incredibly fast. They often wrap up in a single day. Now, if your roof is super complex, with steep pitches, lots of valleys, or significant hidden rot, you're looking closer to that 3-day mark. But generally speaking, your entire property is restored, protected, and good to go in just a matter of days. Okay, lean in for this one because this is absolutely crucial consumer advice. Never tell a contractor you have not researched pricing or checked references. When a roofing emergency hits, it is so easy to panic. But the absolute second you reveal to a contractor that you haven't done your homework, you are opening yourself up to inflated quotes and predatory tactics. Keep your cards close to your chest. Never reveal your maximum budget up front, and under no circumstances should you pay the full amount before the work even starts. You have to maintain your leverage. The sources also outline some very specific red flags to watch out for so you don't get scammed. If a roofer gives you an estimate without actually pulling out a ladder and physically inspecting the roof, walk away immediately. If they start using high-pressure tactics demanding a cash deposit right on the spot, walk away. If they can't provide local verifiable references, massive warning sign. And be incredibly suspicious of anyone claiming you need a total, wildly expensive roof replacement when you might just need some isolated repairs and new flashing. But listen, on the flip side, if you know you have real damage, you cannot procrastinate. The data makes it very clear. Hoping material prices are going to drop next year is a losing bet. Thanks to steady labor demands and fluctuating petroleum prices for shingles, costs aren't falling anytime soon. And delaying a necessary replacement just rolls out the red carpet for water to enter your living space. You'll turn a standard exterior roof job into a massively expensive interior renovation. It is far better to prioritize financing options right now through a local credit union or an established contractor than to let a small leak absolutely destroy your drywall and insulation. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Take a good look at your property. Think about the brutal freeze-thaw cycles, the heavy winds, and the age of your shingles. Are you proactively defending your biggest investment, or are you just sitting there waiting for the ceiling to start dripping? When you understand our local climate, the strict installation standards it demands, and exactly how to spot a reliable contractor, you take all the power right back. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay dry out there.